I think here's an important thing too. Failure is important.
It is important.
I think failure teaches you things that you don't learn from success. I think failure gives you an opportunity for self-examination and also gives you a feeling that is very uncomfortable. And that very uncomfortable feeling helps you grow. That when you feel like shit and you screw something up, like when I've had bad podcasts, my podcast has always gotten better afterwards. When I've had bad stand-up sets, I've always gotten better after that because those bad sets motivate you. They give you a perspective like, hey, here's some clear examples of where you fucked up.
Yeah, what not to do.
Yeah, don't look at these failures as like proof that you suck. Look at them as opportunities for growth. Look at them as opportunities to be motivated to do better. And
Winston Churchill had a line about reading quotes, about how inspirational reading famous quotes were. And he says they motivate you from a number of different ways, including the idea that, you think it's just you, or you think that these people who did so well were so incredibly gifted or privileged from the get-go. And when you realize, no, they're more like me than I think, that becomes inspirational, right? You telling your audience this is inspirational. You don't want to hear, go back to school, go do this work. No. But if you hate your job, that is like nature telling you to try something different. And it's motivating because the motivation is you might not have to do that soul-killing job anymore.
Well, if you look at someone who's doing really well, like say if you focus on like Kevin Hart or someone like that, some very famous and successful comedian, all you see is him now flying around private jets, wearing a new pair of sneakers every day, driving around in Bentleys. You just see that. You don't see him being a young kid in Philadelphia, going to open mic nights, scratching and clawing,
MC
writing
Hammer
jokes.
selling the tapes out of the hatchback. Yeah.
All that stuff, man. There's a path, and we think of people like, you see an old person walking down the street, you go, oh, that person's always been an old person. No, that was a baby. That was a baby that became a 90-year-old man. There's a progression that you're not witness to. You don't see it. And that takes place in everything. It takes place in authors. It takes place in comedians and musicians. There is a starting point, and then with time and focus, and as long as you reevaluate and reassess and constantly, objectively look at what you're doing and then pursue it with passion and focus, you get better at things.
And you know what? Doing all those things ends up, it's funny, but your life experiences create who you are. And all those things actually make you a more I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but all those things make you a more formidable person. So that eventually that next endeavor is you're more prepared for, and you're more formidable. And so, you turn around and you say, what was I like as a 23-year-old intern compared to what I'm like now? And I'm basically a different person. Yeah. And you're a different person because of all these life experiences. I mean, you go to a CENTCOM meeting with the big brat, well, you're more formidable afterwards, right?
For sure.
But if you don't put yourself in the position, it's life is like coming up to the plate and taking a swing. There are no guarantees you're going to get a hit, no guarantee, and you might even look foolish swinging, but there's no chance of it if you don't get in the batter's box, right?
100%. And one of the things that I've found over the last few years in particular, I've done it in the past, but I did it because they were just goals that I was pursuing on the side, as well as doing stand-up and all the other things that I do in my life. But I've found that things that are completely unrelated to my career that are difficult enhance what I do. Whether it's yoga,
I like that.
Yoga or running hills or archery or all these things that I pursue.
And you've managed to incorporate them into what you do. Yeah.
Sort of, but that's just because one of the things that I do is just talk about things that I'm interested in. But they make my focus better because they're hard and because I'm not good at them. So like when I do yoga, I'm not good at yoga. So when I do it, it's hard. It's a fucking struggle. And forcing myself to get through that 90-minute class and try 100% with every pose enhances my stamina for thinking and approaching other things.
Let's macro it out a little bit because I'm very interested in what you're saying. So here you and I are talking to the listeners, many of whom are already accomplished and well into their goals, but if they're not, they're listening to this. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if you're trying to design a society, we had talked about revolution if too many people are the losers in the society. If you said to yourself, what really matters in this society is making more Americans who are happier with their lives, more successful, doing what they want to do. In other words, empowering them to create. how different is that in terms of a setup from what our school system's designed to do now, which is a holdover to essentially make good factory workers? Right? I mean, if you said to somebody, listen, this entire country is built for you to become a businessman with your own business, you start your own company. If you taught that in the schools from the get-go and you had workshops and everybody's going to say, damn, we already do that in the schools, I already know. But I mean, if that was the entire goal of your education, to turn every student in that class into a small business person doing their own dreams someday, how would you do it differently than what you do now? Because to me, the biggest crime isn't that we have the kind of system we have, it's that we're not training people on how to utilize it. I mean, we have all these opportunities there, and it sounds like a cliche, but we're doing it. And as you go through it, you say to yourself, well, why can't more people do this? Well, who told them they could? And who said? You know, I mean, this is a little bit of a hand-holding, but I'm teaching this to my kids right now. Right? I'm telling them, listen, don't go do the soul-killing job. Work on this thing that you seem to be good at and that you love, and let's work on it now.
Yeah.
What if I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, could we be doing a better job here? And if so, you know, would you have to fight teachers' unions to do it? I mean, what do you have to do to break apart a system that's 140 years old and not working all that well right now to more correspond to the reality that people are growing up in now?
Well, I had a conversation with my daughter yesterday about this, my 9-year-old. And
Good
she
age
was saying,
to do it, by the way.
she was saying school is so boring. I don't want to go to school tomorrow. She was laughing about it. I was picking her up from this class that she goes to, and I said, "Well, what's the most boring?" She goes, "It's all boring." She was being funny, right?
Right.
And I go, "Well, you like reading, and you're really into reading." She goes, "Yeah, I do. I like it, but they make it boring." She goes, "They make reading boring." And she goes, I go, "But you like writing, right? You like writing?" She goes, "I like writing what I want to write about. They make writing boring."
So she's